So in this video, we're going to be cleaning up some of the debug messages we have and going to be doing the UI system. So we're going to go through the ones that we don't really need anymore, like these, just kind of for demonstration. I still want to have them there, so I'm just commenting them out because I think it's still useful to have and maybe later for reference, but I just got to go comment them out. This one, we select a column, we don't need that one. Let's see, player one, I'll keep these just because we still need them and we're still using them. This one we don't need. I'll keep this one just in case somebody clicks on a column that's full. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, that's good for that one. This script, we don't have any. Okay, so that's it for that. Let's go back in Unity and see if it looks better and easier to read. So if we press play, see, there's no messages here. Yeah, and it's only the messages that we care about, like if somebody won. And that should still work. Yeah, player 1 won. Okay, good. So next we're going to be adding the UI or user interface to our game. So first we're going to start by adding a little X right here, just so the player can exit the game. So to do that, we're going to go to this plus again, go to UI, and then go down to button, but not the Text Mesh Pro button, just normal button. And then something real big pops up. So if we double click this canvas, you can see how big the object is. So if we click the button here, make sure that you're in this mode. You can use this and it still does work, but I just prefer using this and it works better to make stuff bigger or smaller. So we want to move this in the top right corner. You can move it there if you want to, it's preference, but I want to put it in this corner. We want it to be, see how big we want it to be. Maybe like there, and then to make it exactly square, do like 90 by 90. And then move it right here. And then there's another drop down here for the text of it. We just want to make this an X. If you want to, you could probably write exit also. But I'm just gonna make it a big X and then increase the font size. Doesn't look centered. For some reason, it's kind of not in the middle. Maybe I need a capital X. Oh, there you go, yeah. Okay, capital X will make it centered. Next, we're gonna change the color of it. If you want to, you can make it transparent again. Remember, you click it and then you go to the A value and you increase it or decrease it. I'm just gonna keep it like that. And then last, let's just rename this to exit button. So next we're going to go back into our game manager script and add a function that the button can access that will make us exit the game. So I'm going to call it void quit game. You can call it exit game if you want to. This is going to be pretty basic, but we have to do it. The way to exit games, or to exit the game, or your program anything in Unity when it's finally built, not in the actual editor, is you use application.quit. And then this just quits the application and shuts everything down. The only thing to note with this is it doesn't actually work in the editor itself. It just does nothing. So we want to just put a simple debug.log, I'll say warning, and then we'll just say something simple like quitting game, just so we know that the button works. But yeah, it's gonna look like nothing's happening, but this thing's gonna say a message. It's just it doesn't work in the editor. We need to make this public so the mouse can actually, or the button, sorry, can actually access it. If it's private, then it can't. So let's go back in Unity. So if we go to this exit button here, we're going to scroll down to this on click, which works very similar to the box collider, the on mouse down function, but this one's just for the click. We're going to go drag and drop the game manager in to there. And then it's going to say no function. We want to go down to game manager. Sorry, you can't see this again. Game manager should be the bottom one. And you're going to want to go down to quitting game. It's roughly in the middle. So it should look like this. Game manager dot quit game. So now if we press play and click the button, it says quitting game down there. And you can see Unity has some built-in things, like the button you can see it changes colors and kind of goes back into the color. Like it's not instant, it's kind of a fade effect. So you can change all those colors right here. Like I can make it any color I want in any of these color settings. You can mess with those if you want. It's completely aesthetic. And also in the text you can change the font size. You can change the font if you really want to. I'm just going to leave it as a standard thing. You can change the color of it, all that stuff. So next we're going to create the windscreen for our game. We're going to be going back to this plus, going down to UI again. And this time instead of adding a button, we're going to add a completely new canvas, similar to this thing. But this one's going to be called our win canvas. Or, let's see, windscreen canvas I guess is better. Or no, whatever, I'll just call it windscreen. And what this is going to do is we're going to put buttons and other UI on it, but then the good thing about it is we can disable it. Like when I was talking about disabling like the ghost pieces before, what Unity's doing is unticking this check mark. See how the piece is kind of disabled and it gets grayed out a bit or fades away. So that's what we're going to be doing with this, because we only want the windscreen to show when a player's won. So once we have the windscreen, we're going to want to add some text to this. Because go down to plus, UI. We're going to add text. It should be the first one. And let's see. So in text, we want it to say, or we'll just say sample text. Because we're actually going to be changing this text in the code. So we're just going to put some like default stuff here just to get the sizing right. And the colors and stuff. So back in Visual Studios, we want to make references for both of those objects. So we're going to go up here again, create another public game object. This one's going to be the canvas we're going to be using, so this is the windscreen. The next one, it's not actually going to be a game object, we're just going to make it a text, because you can access it directly as a text. And it helps better, because if you didn't put it as a text, you'd have to say the game object dot get component text, and you have to go through that whole process. The only thing to create text, we actually have to type in using Unity game engine .ui. It's some extra feature you have to do. And then so this now recognizes that it's text. So we have the text here. It's going to be called win text. And you can see it's not grayed out anymore. That means it's actually accessing it. So now down here, when we find that a player is won, right here, we're going to say win text dot text equals, and then whatever message we want. You can probably just use this message again. And the same thing down here, but a 2. So we're going to change the color of this. So we're going to go right here and to the win text. It'll look a bit better if it's the color of the actual piece, that one. So if you do win text dot color equals So Unity has some default colors. You can either say color dot, or you can do like new color and then use the RGB value, but it's similar to the vector 3 where this one you can type in the values, you can give it exact values, or you can do some like default ones that are already predetermined. So we're just going to use that. So color dot red, and it has all the basic colors. It has probably like 10ish colors already built in the Unity, or if you want to, you can get a bit more exact. And down here again, just going to copy this, and this is going to be yellow. And last, we just need to add one for the draw. So player 2, 1, this will just say player, or we'll just say draw. So that's it for the text itself. Now we just need a way to activate it. So on here where it says did win, we want to actually activate the piece, or the win screen. So right here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say win screen dot set active true. Right here. And we're going to put that on the draw too, just so the message shows up. Lastly, we just have to disable the win message at the start here. So we'll put it by the other disables. Alright, let's go back into Unity. Just going to go to Game Manager and drag and drop these two things that are missing here. So the win screen would be this, and the text would be this. Okay, now we want to make a little backdrop for this, so it's a bit more visible, because right now you can only read the like M and P, the S is barely visible, and you can't even see the T there. So we're going to go to this plus here, 3D object, or no, sorry, plus here, UI again. We're going to be adding an image this time. And the image is just going to be a backdrop. We're not actually going to put an image into it. It's just going to be this basic white box. The only difference is we are going to be changing the color of it. So click the color again and then just lower the opacity, so it's just barely visible. And this is actually in the wrong canvas, so you just need to drag and drop it into the windscreen one. So now let's adjust this and make it the size we want. Looks good. Text up here. Let's make this pure black just so it's visible. Oh, and I think a trick here is that the sample text is actually hidden behind it, so that's why it's kind of whited out. So if we raise this one up, so the image, it goes image, then text. So you might think it's the other order, but this is just the order that it's rendered in. So it's like rendering the image, and then on top of that, it's doing the text. You might think, well, it should be putting the image on top of the text. That's what this looks like, but it's actually the opposite of what you want to do. Image, we'll just call this background. And this text we will call win message. Okay. This is looking kind of small here. So let's first center the text. Maybe raise that and then increase the font a lot. I'll make it go all the way. This you can just mess around. It's not really that big of a deal as long as it's visible. The only thing to note is if you make it too big, then it kind of disappears like it is. So you want to get it to right size, and some of the messages might be longer. So you want it to, I think this message is slightly longer than what we actually have. So you want to make sure that when you actually do your real message that it fits properly. The last thing we're going to be adding to the win screen is the restart button to restart the game once somebody has won. Going to go to the plus UI button, just the normal button again. Going to rename this to restart. Center this on the text. Just going to call this restart. And we're going to do the same thing we did before, make it just a bit bigger. The thing to note, when you make stuff bigger, make sure that you're clicking the original one, not this one, because if you do that, it's just messing up this box's one. But since this one's under it, everything you do to this one will affect this one. So that's why it's better just to affect the original one. So then nothing gets messed up. I think that's fine. Increase the size a bit. Yeah, that's probably good. The only thing to note, I just did that again. I need to click here. The only thing to note is that you probably want this backboard to be seen. The whole point that this is like slightly transparent is that the player can still see who won, which is something that's nice to have, because you want them to be able to see who won. Because before, if you didn't have this and it was just a blank white and you couldn't see behind it, then they would be like, oh, wait, I won. They wouldn't even know they won, and it wouldn't even show like the colors we made previously, the circles we made. So next we need to go back into Visual Studios. We're actually going to be adding another thing up here. This one's going to be called using Unity Engine Scene Management. So what this is going to do is let us basically upload the last scene and the scene that we were on. Basically is the easiest way to restart it. So we're going to be making another very basic function like the quitting game one. We're going to call this public void restart. Say restart game. And the way to restart it is you want to do that scene management thing we just made. So it's going to be scene management dot load scene, and it's just going to have an index of 0. So now this will restart the scene that we're on. The only thing to note is that this 0 only works if you only have one scene. So when you add multiple scenes, this method won't be the best. Like if you have a game with 20 levels, it won't really work as well. But for what we're doing with one scene, it'll work. We just want to go to this restart button. Same thing we did before with the exit button. Just want to click the plus, add in the game manager function. Same thing as before, but you're going to go game manager and select the restart button. So to test that out, we're just going to go press this play button. The screen does go away. I'm just going to make a state where somebody won real quick. And let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, it says player 1-1. The message is up there. It should work for the yellow piece also and for ties now, because it's basically the same system. The restart button's there. The only other bug we have is, see how this piece is still up there, and even if we click, we can still play the game. And like right now I can actually switch who won and make this other person win. The other funny thing is that this ring gets darker each time. It's actually spawning another piece, because it's going through the whole algorithm and saying, oh look, this player won here again, which is kind of funny. And check the restart. Yeah, everything works. So let's go fix that bug where you can still play the game after it's over. So up here, we're gonna want to create a new variable that's just called player1, and it's just gonna be a boolean player1 This is going to equal false because we want to disable some features once a player is won. So let's go first down here. If somebody won, we need to say player 1 equals true. Copy this a few times. And we're actually going to want to put this in the did draw just because we want everything to still work. You might think, oh wait, why are you putting it in the did draw because it's player 1 but not draw? But basically, the player 1 is just going to detect if the game's over, basically. So yeah, you can also call this game over, or yeah, game over would also work, I guess, if you wanted to rename it. Also up here, we want to be using this new variable we created, the player 1. So up here we're going to say if this one is true, that means we want to disable it. So we have to say if it's false, we want it to go through. So I know this is actually getting pretty big, but there's going to be another and here. So and player 1 is false. You can either say equals equals false, or you can put an exclamation point to say not equals. And so that's the first spot. Next we want to put it also right here. So then you can't actually select a piece too. Okay, let's save it and go back into Unity and see if it fixes it. Let's just run through it real quick again. Okay, and see, it won't let me hover over any pieces, and if I click here, nothing's happening. So that's what we want. Yeah, and everything works. Alright, that's basically it. All we have to do is just fix some other things with the screen. Like right now, when you hover the piece, it's obviously halfway up the screen, which I guess you could have fixed it before. But I'm just going to go fix that right now. And just making sure that all the ratios and the visuals look good, because the lighting looks kind of bad right now where this thing's really dark and these are really bright. Let's see, first let's fix the camera thing. So main camera, if we shift it up a bit, that might fix the problem. Let's see what this looks like. Most of this is just experimental. Yeah, it's pretty good. Also this main color, I don't really like this green anymore. So let's change it to like a light blue. Yeah, it looks a bit nicer. And yeah, we need to fix the lighting. So I might be able to cheat and just rotate this lighting and see if that does anything. Doesn't look like it. And these are pieces for, or reference pieces for the game's actually going to look like. Let's see what the lights, what direction the lights are in. I think it's both of them are pointed down. Yeah, both are fairly pointed down. When you do lighting, you want to light it up well. You kind of want them to be opposite directions. So let's see, this one will be our kind of sun because it has the shadow. So that's the main light. And this one we probably should tilt up a bit. Yeah, maybe something like that. And this one's still kind of washed out, so let's see if I go like this. Maybe raise this one's intensity to 1. Let's try to find a good number. Yeah, actually 0.5 was pretty good. Alright, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that's much better. It's still kind of washed out. I don't know, some of that you can just play with. You can even add more lights if you need to. Oh, that looks pretty good. Wait, let me raise that one up. Yeah, the only thing to note again is if you change it when you're in the play mode, it'll actually get rid of it. So I don't know if there's easier ways to do it, but I usually just change it in the game mode and kind of like remember roughly what I did, or you can make it whole numbers and just remember it. There might be an easier way, but that's the only way I know how to do it. So the other thing that seems to be a problem is if you move this thing right here. As you can tell, kind of messes it up. Like if you actually put this into the game, or if you actually built this and showed it to someone, the ratios might be off. So there's like a drop down here, it says free aspect. That just means it fits the box perfectly. But say if I just change it to another one down here, this is a 1080p. This is like a standard resolution. So you can tell how all these things are messed up right now. So fix that real quick. We're gonna go to the first the button, and you're gonna want to change these anchors. So let's see. Actually, I'll double click to make it big. So this anchor is like the reference point of it, but we want to be the reference point to be in the corner. So we're gonna change this to be 1, 1, and all these to be 1. Or not the pivot. So yeah, what this does is if we adjust it now, see how it kind of moves. It's a little bit glitchy, but that's fine because people won't be changing the resolutions while playing. And it also keeps it, say if we move this over here a bit, then we move it, then it stays there. So that's what we want. The size is a bit off. Like, see, everything gets kind of smaller. That's actually another problem that games frequently have. If you ever seen a game where the text gets really small, so you have like a 4K monitor, the text gets really small. That's why, because it's kind of lined up based on the pixels, not based on the resolution, or it's not accounting for the resolution. I think the easiest way to fix that is down here somewhere. If we change, yeah, so if you go to canvas, the screen space overlay, you want to change that to world space, I think. Or maybe not world space, trace, yeah. Oh, no, sorry. It's this thing right here. Instead of constant pixel size, we want to say scale with screen size. And the ratios or the size of the image might get a bit different. But see, if we now switch to 1080p, it actually stays the same size, which is what we want. But yeah, see how it got a little bit bigger there? That's okay, you can always just adjust it later. Generally, you want to change this first, but we're not really changing that much stuff, so it's okay to do this last. Scale screen size. Yeah, it makes it a bit bigger, but I still think that's an okay size to have. It's not too oppressive and super big. Alright, I think that is it for this whole series. So hopefully you got to the end. I can answer any questions on any of the videos you can leave below. I'll try to answer most of them. And I hope you liked it.